So I'm Seth with According to Seth. Congrats on your guys' movie. I loved it. This is an honor to meet you guys. I know Francis set this up and all that. And
Yes.
I wanted to let you know my last name was Fox too. So I thought that was like perfect.
It is then. It's meant to be.
What was it about this story that drew you into the project of Little Bites? And you're the main star and producer. So how does that kind of like, how did this project come about with you two?
So Spider told me the idea, and I was like, oh, wow, that sounds really interesting. You know, we have a daughter together, and I raised a son with him who's now 20. So, you know, I obviously have a huge connection to the parenting aspect of this. But then when he finished writing it and I read, and I'd read as we go, but sometimes, he'd hop around with scenes. And when I sat and actually read the whole script start to finish, I was like, wow, I have to do this movie.
Yep.
I have to be Mindy. There's something about it. There's something about the abuse dynamic of this film, and also just struggling as a parent and trying to always do the right thing and never knowing if you really are doing the right thing. And she was so flawed yet so strong, and just trying to always hold it together no matter what. Even like every single person in her life was coming at her a different type of judgment and disappointment. And all she's trying to do is the right thing and be a good person. And so that was really it. I was just like, I just connected to this character, and I hadn't really got to do something like that, It felt so emotional, but also so controlled.
That's awesome. So obviously you guys worked on this together. So what was that like? Was there any challenges that you faced?
Awful. I mean, honestly, we are very in sync when it comes to, it's funny, we come from sort of different generations and different things inspired us, but we also love a lot of the same movies. And I feel like we work together very well. We really respect each other. We do a lot in the prep of the movies, so we're very prepared. And I love watching him direct. I love his ideas. I like, I was just saying this to Perry Collider. He's the director I want to please. I want him to be excited, and but at the same time, I think that he really enjoys, directing me and watching me work, because it's a different experience for us. And at the end of the day, I edit our films, and then we go through them together. And when we finally pencils down, this is done, and we get to screen it in front of an audience at Fantastic Fest, we get to go to bed and I'd be like, holy fuck, we did this. You and me. Like, look what we just did.
That's so cool.
And our daughter gets to be there. And, it's just, it's beautiful.
We balance each other. And, it's like any great relationship. You balance each other. When one person's more outgoing, one's more reserved. One person does the dishes, the other one leaves them laying around the house. But it's the same thing, like, creatively and professionally. I think that, where one may not provide something, the other one does, and so we can lean on each other. And we, like she said, I think we do have a shorthand, clearly, because we know each other so well. And we have such a unique opportunity to always be discussing the material, because we live together. So it's by the time we're ready to shoot or edit, we both know it inside and out.
That's amazing. So I know you brought up having a daughter together. So Little Bites is about how far a mother is willing to go to protect her child. As a mother, how difficult is it to get into this headspace for a role like this? And was there anything that happened during filming that kind of helped create an even better bond with your kid?
I mean, both of those things. I mean, I worship my kids, like my stepson and my daughter, but having, being responsible for a little baby and our daughter's a wild animal, I have to control myself constantly from being like a helicopter parent. I'm obsessed with her. And so I would truly do anything for her. And so I could put a lot of that into this character, just knowing that if I was in that situation, I would literally do anything. And then, our daughter came to set a couple times. She is in the movie for a moment with James and Chelsea from Dead Meat. And there was just a moment where she was sitting in the director's chair, and it was actually the scene where I was crushing up pills and putting drugging Chaz's ice cream. And she got to call action and
cool.
cut. And then she was and she's just sitting there with her headphones. And I was like, this is just beautiful that our daughter gets to come on set and experience this and be there. She's come to every set we've ever had.
That's amazing.
Even when I just did Terrifier, she came to set. Like she she gets to be part of it, and she's such a big part of our life and a part of our films. Like and her essence is always there, and everybody loves her. So it was like probably the most special film, just because always having her in my mind at all times.
That's awesome. Next question I had here is, being huge in the horror scene for both of you guys, and growing up watching these films, as parents, are you guys excited to share some of your favorite horror films with them? And is there one you hope she likes?
Well, she's already seen them all.
Our daughter is the biggest horror fanatic on the earth.
That's awesome.
She wants, right now her movie that she asks for every night is Oddity.
Wow. She's braver than me.
Yeah, no, she is shockingly brave. Nothing scares her. She really understands it because since she was a baby, she's been around prosthetics and special effects makeup and fake blood, and I want to shoot the blood cannon, and that's been her existence. So when she watches it from a different perspective than probably another little kid would.
Yeah.
The only thing she doesn't tolerate are, animals being killed or hurt,
Yeah.
and I actually am on the same page with her. But no, I think that I don't know.
She's watched...
I'm trying to think if there's one she hasn't seen that I'm like, I really want to introduce this to her.
Oddly, the movie that got her seemingly excited about horror was Freddy versus Jason. She wants to watch it all the time.
Oh, and Zombieland.
Zombieland.
All day.
She was probably 4 when she watched that and started running around the house saying "nut up" or "shut up." I'm like,
Yeah.
But
That's amazing.
she's developed I think, because we wonder like, why isn't this scaring her? But she's developed this philosophy that if you like monsters, then they like you. So if you're, then they won't.
You're their friend.
Yeah.
So I think that's how she processes. Like, oh, I like Jason, so he's not going to hurt me. So.
Well, and to be fair, so she started doing this thing where she directs us. She'll write scripts, and then she will literally block me and give us lines and okay, so you go to the bed and you look up there and then you say this line, and I'm like, oh my god, she's probably going to be a horror director. Yeah. So
that's amazing.
She might be the youngest one ever.
It honestly probably is cool too, because obviously a little kid has such an imagination.
Yes.
And it can help put in some scary scenes that you didn't even think of.
No,
she pitches it to us
where we just shot another film, and then she started talking about a scene, and I'm like, that's kind of better than the one I wrote. Maybe
what if I have some? And she always tells people, I have notes. I have a note. And you're like, okay.
She's definitely going to be a director one day. That's amazing. What is one thing that you want people to take away from Little Bites? Something you want them to really hone in on?
Because in any movie you want, you just hope that let me think. I have a specific idea of what this movie is about, but I do think that you can find your own entry point. You don't have to be a parent. You don't necessarily, And I don't know. I just, anytime you make something, you just hope that people find their own way to appreciate it and enjoy it, even if the subject matter is dark. And so it's not yours anymore. You put all this work into it, and it's very personal, and then it's gone. It's like a kid that moves away from home. So I just hope that people can appreciate it on whatever level they can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing I would like people to take away from it is just that, you never really know what's going on inside of someone and, in their life, and to give people a break. Mm-hmm. Don't come down so hard on people. Don't pass your judgment when you don't know really what's going on behind closed doors. And, maybe once in a while extend a hand, and the way Heather did in the film, and give someone some hope, and it empowers them and hopefully helps them through that. And, I think that's the beautiful part about this movie is that's sort of what happens for her.
Yeah.
But it takes a long time, and I think a lot of us can relate to that in our life, regardless what it is.
Definitely. And obviously you just mentioned Heather. There was a whole slew of incredible actors and actresses in this one. Was there anything that they kind of inspired you on or gave you some advice that's going to help you for future roles?
Honestly, just being a scene partner with them. They've all... Heather's career, I remember, and I said this earlier, I remember thinking, of course, huge fan of Nightmare on Elm Street.
The best.
And I love her as a human.
Yeah.
But when I was actually physically in the scene with her, I was thinking, well, other than being lost in her beautiful eyes, just being I get why you are a star.
Yeah.
You have a thing that can't be taught, and she's so connected and so emotionally responsive as a scene partner. Mm-hmm. So, I just always want to keep that in the back of my head. And, same with Barbara. Barbara, I was afraid of having to hate Barbara in this film because my character really doesn't like her. And she's such a wonderful human.
She's
but,
so nice.
But she has such a natural response, and she's a fantastic scene partner, and she brings her experience. And Bonnie, the same thing. Bonnie, I really like that she responds very much emotionally to the way the other actor in the scene is. Like, she's really listening to you. And, the thing she was saying was making me tear up because if my mother said that to me, it would make me very sad. And then it was making her emotional. And I think that was a special moment I shared with her that, it's experience, and working in this industry their whole lives.
That's amazing. Obviously, you did Terrifier 3 as well.
Yes.
And you worked with Art, and forgive me if I'm pronouncing, is it Aguiar?
Aguiar.
Yeah, Aguiar.
Yes, okay, good. Was there a moment on set that actually legitimately scared both of you with that?
Aguiar or Art?
Aguiar and then Art for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aguiar, a lot of times.
Yeah.
I realized how hard of a job this was going to be the first scene.
Yeah.
I opened the door and he was in the dark. And I couldn't see him, but I could hear him and I knew what he looked like. And I was scared. It was that opening scene where I'm asking him to bite my leg instead. And I was like, oh, wow. But then when it finally got down to I'm sitting with him and he's biting me and singing a horrible song to me and
so
just
scary.
Devastating me. I was scared. And I just, that feeling in your body where you're like, run, get out of this situation. I need to leave right now, but I couldn't. And that's how I felt basically the whole time I was working with him. So he was terrifying. I'll let you answer and then I'll answer about Art.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I'm not having the same experience as you with Aguiar, but just...
Jealous?
Yeah. Watching the monitor, and, it's funny because people talk about making a movie and it feels, there's a million people standing around and it's not... But this wasn't. I mean, they were alone in that dark room, and yes, there was a camera in there, but that's in the dark. So I think that terror and that fear really came through. And just his incredible cruelty to her, for me, was kind of chilling, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, in regards to Art, so I remember reading the script and knowing what I had to do in that film. And I had nightmares about him for probably 2 weeks before I went and shot the film. I told Damien, he's like, oh, that makes me so happy. I was like, thanks. But then I got on set, and Dave is just the best. He's like the sweetest human. So I was thinking, oh, I'm not actually really going to be scared, shooting with David. But no, when he turns it on and he gets in Art mode and he's chasing you, there was a moment where he's chasing me down the stairs and I'm trying to get out the front door. And I swear I almost went through the wall at one point. I was like, it's so terrifying, that guy coming at you and that face. And definitely, there was some key moments, but I think that chase scene, I was like, I feel like I'm going to throw up at the end. And then we'd have to reset, and I'd be like, dude, I'm like, I was like this, standing beside him, waiting for them to call it, Yeah, he's very scary. He does an incredible job.
Yeah. Well, seriously, guys, thank you so much for your time today. Congrats on the film.
Thank you.
Congrats on all the success, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. I'm so happy you were able to do this.
I know, me too.